Hey girl, how's it going?
It's going good. How are you?
Hey, it's good. I'm gonna warn you. Today is my first day of trying no monsters.
Oh shit. If you thought she was a bitch before, just what you're in store.
Okay, well listen, that's not changing. Still definitely gonna be a bitch.
Okay.
It's just the degrees of bitchiness that I'm gonna have.
Okay, so you're gonna be a crankier bitch.
Right. Well, second
Oh,
cup
you
of
got
coffee.
coffee. Okay, so you're still getting your caffeine.
Yeah, girl, we were spending about $300 plus a month on monsters.
Yeah. Those
It just
bitches are expensive. And you guys down them like they were fucking water.
I know it's ridiculous. So it's not a health issue more than it's just fucking ridiculous.
Yeah. What would Dave Ramsey say about your monster habits?
Oh my God. I listen. Well, technically, Dave Ramsey would say as long as we're putting it in our budget, right?
Right.
And I'm
Was
not
it
feeding my kids maybe 1 or 2 days a week. No, I'm kidding.
Okay, thank God you're kidding, because that's fucking horrible. You're gonna give your daughter a kidney stone before she's 12.
I know, right? Right. So, hey, I wanted to talk about this text you sent me over the weekend. I'm gonna
What state of mind was I in when this text came through?
All right, it's a good one. So it was something that you saw on Facebook, and I've been thinking about this all weekend. It was, and we'll post this on Instagram for everybody to see. Well, first, housekeeping platforms. We're on all platforms now. So
Yes, we
every,
are on iTunes. Woohoo!
so everybody go like, share, listen, rate, tell your friends about it. Come back to our Instagram, leave your feedback, email us, do all that fun stuff. All right, on to the good shit. I've been thinking about this image all weekend. On the right side, it says orgasms are great, but they can make sex goal oriented and create unnecessary pleasure. And then the other side says pleasure is about the experience grounded in the moment without future expectations. So tell me the context that you saw this picture.
So it was in a like a writing group on Facebook that I'm in. It's one of those private groups. And basically, they were talking about the structure of the sentences and relating it to romance novels.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, I completely ignored that context and went, no, I fucking love my orgasms. Every time I have sex, I expect to have an orgasm, at least one. Because otherwise, what are you doing?
Right. So I mean, that's the way that I took it too, right? That pleasure is about the experience grounded in the moment without future expectations. Well, listen, sex has an expectation behind it.
It does. That's why you're having sex. Somebody is getting an orgasm.
Right. And why does it only have to be one somebody?
Right. No, 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 no. See, if it takes two to have sex, there should be a minimum of two orgasms, if not more.
Right. Because I'm assuming that from this image, that the argument is, well, that a woman doesn't always have to have an orgasm. Because let's be honest, a man's having one
Right.
97% of the
So,
time.
pretty much, there were some ladies that were responding to it, basically saying, oh, I don't always have an orgasm when I have sex with my husband. It's more about the experience and the feeling. And I totally get that because I have sex where it's more emotional and lovey and I want to be close to my husband. And then there's moments where I'm like, fucking smack me like a whore and thrust it in and let's go, baby, let's go.
Right. So that is my thought too, right? Like, okay, we all know as women that it's harder for a woman to orgasm. So it takes a little more skill for, well, at least in my experience, is that you need to know what you're doing for it to happen. So thankfully, I'm with a man that I mean, we've been having sex together for 16 years. He knows how to do it. He also
Mm-hmm.
has an ego to him that he wants it done, right? He wants to see me react to what he's doing in a positive way. If I'm just laying there, that fucks with his ego. And he's also nice enough to be the kind of man that is like, all right, you're going to get yours first before anything goes on with him, which is great too, because I've slept with guys before that, especially when I was younger and you don't know how to really have sex or to be in control of what's going on. You're really just a placemat for a man. So I love the faces you make when I'm talking about sex.
Well, because you're talking about a placemat. And let me tell you what, girl, I've never been a fucking placemat for anybody in sex. I am the type that if we're in the middle of sex and you're fucking it up like horribly wrong, I'm stopping and I'm walking out. And
Good for you.
And I'm telling you, I've done it many times. I'm like, no. I'm giving you directions. You're ignoring. Apparently, this is all about you. Fuck you. Goodbye.
That is fucking amazing because I don't think most women can say that, especially in most of my like numbers wise, the sexual partners happened in my early 20s because I met Nate when I was 23, 24. So it's somewhere between 18 and 19. So I was younger and literally was just a placemat. I don't even think I really had a real orgasm until I was with Nate and I was like, oh my God, what just happened?
So I'm a little bit different than most women.
Right.
I discovered my body young.
Mm-hmm.
And I never had that, ew, it's so disgusting. Don't do that to your, those kind of experiences. So when I became of age, my first thing I went out to was I beeline right for that damn sex store and got myself a vibrator. So
Okay.
I know how to please me. I know exactly what I want. I know how
Mm-hmm.
I like it. My body knows how to have an orgasm. It knows how to enjoy an orgasm. It knows how to push beyond the initial orgasm into the next orgasm, right?
Right.
Because to me, my mentality is straight up, I know how to please me. I don't need you.
Yeah, 100%. Right.
If you're there to just please me and you're not doing the job, I don't need you. I can do it myself.
Right.
Right.
Which is something that reminds me of like giving a guy a hand job. I heard this comedian say one time, like, again, you're making faces at me. It's hilarious. People, listen, if you're ever going to become a Patreon member, this is the episode because Tabby is making the funniest faces at me. So,
Oh my gosh, yes. Oh.
so the comedian said something like, why do I want a girl to jack me off when I'm a fucking professional at that, right? It annoys the fuck out of me when not somebody, but if somebody, my man, is trying to finger me and he's not doing it right. I got it. Right? I got it. And if not, I'm now at the age and I've been in a relationship where I'm like, okay, a little bit to the left. Okay. All right. How about you just stop that? Let me take over and you can do X, Y, and Z while I'm doing this. Right? Because my goal is still to orgasm. If I'm going to have sex with you, I want mine.
Well, of course, as do I. And I don't think I've ever had a bad finger job. Let's just be straight up. Nobody's ever been really never had a bad finger job. Nope. Never. I'm like, hey, let's shift this way. And I'm like, move the hand. Here you go. And I'll hold it there and fucking ride it.
Yeah. Well, see, your sexual experiences have been better than mine. Here comes FedEx. Let's see again if my dogs do anything. Nope. Motherfucker didn't even knock on the door. He just dropped
your
it
dogs your dogs didn't even bark.
No. So, yeah, I think that this post of if you have expectations when you're having sex, it's a bad thing. Well, listen, I have all kinds, and intimacy is part of it. I expect us to be intimate and close, and I'm going to come, and you're going to come because that's the ego part of me, right? Like, like there's nothing more aggravating to me than whiskey dick, like, and for somebody to be like, oh well, there's no big deal. I just drink too much. No, motherfucker, like I'm in it to win it too. As much as I'm getting over, you want to see me get over the finish line?
I want to see you get over the finish line.
Right. If not, then you immediately, well, is there something wrong with me? Did I do something wrong? Am I not doing it right? Blah, 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 blah. So there is a finish line to it.
Of course. And let me tell you what, I don't understand this about men. Why is it when you're giving a guy a blowjob, he's always so quiet? I need a little bit of encouragement. I'm like, fucking give me some encouragement. Moan. You know, grab my hair. Don't necessarily try to deep throat my ass, but at least, or no, please definitely don't deep throat my ass.
Watch your words, girl. Watch your words. Dion's going to be like, because Dion is a fan and a listener of Non-Safe Space. He's going to be like, baby, you asked for it.
Oh, yeah. No. He knows exactly what I mean, because that man knows exactly what I want.
Right.
But a little encouragement, not this whole,
I hate that.
It's ridiculous. You know, and then when a woman is quiet, when they're going down on you, they get insecure and they're like, oh my God, what's wrong? And I'm like, I'm doing the same shit you do to me.
I do that too. I'm like, all right, you want to see what that feels like? I'm not going to say a single thing.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're right. So I'm glad I'm not the only one who goes through that, is that I do say to my husband, like, can you at least acknowledge what I'm doing? Like, I know you like it, but I only know that so many minutes later when the results come. But during the process, if you want me to stay involved, you better let me know you like it, or I'm moving on.
It would be nice. A little bit of noise, a little bit of encouragement to keep us going for it.
Right. I agree. Yes. Now, I do agree with what you said, where even though if you look back at the video, I think I looked like I was about to puke when you talked about like true intimacy and making love and all that. I don't think my husband and I really do that.
Really?
No, I mean, sometimes I attempt, like, I'll say, hey, make love to me. And he'll kind of laugh at me like, girl, you know you don't like that. Like, I know what you like. Yeah. But
so with us, Dan will know when I'm needing it, or I'll just say that I'm needing it too. And we'll start out, and then he'll go, this isn't what you want. And then in the middle, he'll just like flip the switch, and I'm like, yes, baby, go.
Right.
Like, fucking A, love it.
Right. And so that's the part. So everybody knows, like, women, well, maybe not everybody, but at least if I'm going to talk about myself, is we come in a certain way, right? Typically, and God forbid, like if I know my son's girlfriend is a fan of the show, go ahead and fast forward through this section, sweetie.
Yeah. You don't need to listen. How about we skip this episode entirely?
Right. I'm going to warn her. So, you know, there's a certain way that I'm going to climax, and that normally involves my clit. However, there's sometimes that, like you said, I just want to be fucked. I like the pounding of it because it does feel good in the inside. So when I tell him, like, just fuck me.
Right.
So, but that, you know, where that post says something, you know, about orgasming, where, all right, fine, I guess I'm not orgasming. Whatever it is. I don't want to say the other word for it. I don't want to say
organism.
C-U-M-M-I-N-G. I don't want to say that.
Orgasming.
Yeah, that word.
There we go.
Is that
apparently we are hooked on phonics? We're working on it really hard.
Right. Is that you know, the goal is still there. That pounding and sensation of just being fucked is still a win for me. So yeah, technically I didn't come. Oh, I almost said it. I didn't do it. I still got what I wanted from it.
Right.
Which is a win. So I don't know if that means I agree with the statement or not. What do you think?
I don't agree with it because I feel like every time that, look, when you have sex, there is a goal. The goal is to have an orgasm. It is to come, and I will say it. So, I mean, I don't like it. I think it's a cop-out for people who don't know themselves and are too scared to figure themselves out. So A lot of this comes from women who don't want to masturbate, or like, I don't need to masturbate. I have a husband for that. No, 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 you don't. Your husband's not there to masturbate. You're there to masturbate. You got to
Right.
learn your body, feel what is good for you, the different ways and different things. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And fingering or just rubbing your clit with your finger is not necessarily the best way for you. You may require a vibrator. You may require just a dildo, or you may require both.
Right. And I
So,
think that's another thing is that, so when you talked about going to the sex store for the first time and getting a sex toy, whatever it was, is I did the same thing when I was younger and I bought a dildo or this rabbit thing,
oh
which
my God, I bought the rabbit too.
well,
That
I
was my
hate,
first one. I loved
that
it.
was, see, I hated it.
Really?
Yeah, I like a real dick in there. My MVP of sex toys, I call him the Tom Brady of vibrators, is just that little bullet on full blast. It takes about 3 fucking minutes and I can start my day.
So I love the bullet as well. But my first toy was the rabbit. So,
Mm-hmm.
and I loved it because the shaft was a good size and it
Mm-hmm.
had those ears right
Yep.
there vibrating, and it was fucking awesome, and it rotated, and those pearls, and it was pretty because we can't have an ugly vibrator.
I know, I know.
Not that we need to know what color it is because we're shoving it up our hoo-ha, but we got to make sure it's the right color.
Right, right. But I think you nailed it on the head, is that the people that would support, nailed it on the head,
Uh-huh.
dirty
Yeah.
talk. The people that would support this statement are people that maybe can't achieve an orgasm. So they say to their man, hey, it's not important to me.
And that's a cop out because everybody
Right.
can, not everybody, but as long as you have the equipment, you can achieve an orgasm.
And the time and patience, right, to know your body.
Exactly. I mean, you don't just go in and go, oh, it didn't work for me. Well, no shit. You're scrubbing it like a Brillo pad.
Right. I know.
The fuck?
Right, right.
I'm like, go in there and work her. It's like kneading some dough. If you got time
Right.
to bake a pie, you can work your pussy over.
Love it. Love it. So yeah, I've been thinking about that all weekend because Nate and I actually got into a conversation about it the day before you said that to me. And
Really?
yeah, because so Nate says I'm a lot like a man when it comes to certain things, and I have a big ego, and I have, I'm in sales, right? I like to win. I've been into sports my whole life. Like, I want to win, and I want to know that it's not truly about me, it's about him, and I want to see him come. I want to, like you said, hear him enjoying it.
Exactly.
That there is a goal.
Yes.
And there is my goal of winning, and there's my goal of getting him over the finish line too. So that thing of, well, it doesn't always have to happen. Fuck you.
Yeah, pretty
Yeah,
much.
it does. And if my goal is to come, which is most times, or I had a bad fucking day and let's just do it. You don't need to talk. You don't need to eat this pussy. Just do it.
So basically, you would go into the bedroom and you would give Nate a hug and then fuck.
So,
Uh-oh.
you know that's true, but we also, and this is something I had mentioned to you before, we have a poker chip
Yes.
that one of our mutual friends had given me the advice about. That when you become married and you've been together for so long, or even you're just together, right? You and Dion have been together and your household is busy and his work is busy. There's times that he might want it and you're like, I'm in the middle of something. Like, no, I'll get to you later, or whatever it might be. So we've been married for 11 years. Tabby's saying, fuck no, that's not happening for her. Well, it
No.
does for me. Like, I was guilty of that, being like, I'm in the middle of fucking making dinner. I'll get to you in a second. And then it not happening. And so there came a point where Nate wasn't initiating it because he is worried about being turned down, which I don't blame him for it. And I've never wanted to be the person to turn my man down. Because if you're turning your man down, there's some other bitch willing to
Yeah.
give it up, right?
Oh yeah.
So we've implemented this poker chip. And this poker chip, there's one of them. He's in possession of it right now. Is if he comes home and hands me that poker chip, within 5 minutes, we're fucking.
So if he came home right now, handed you that poker chip as we're recording, you would stop the recording and go fuck your man?
Yeah, because I can't say no. That ruins the poker chip, right? I
Right.
mean, we've been in the middle of an argument, and he gave it to me, and I was like, "You motherfucker!"
And he
And
was like, I fucking won this argument because of this poker chip.
it ended the argument, right? We were in the middle of arguing about something so petty and ridiculous that it was a good play on his part. Where I was like, all right, well, yeah, I'm in because there's no saying no to this poker chip.
All right. I
So,
like it.
so we do. So yeah, if he comes home and says it, and he comes home at lunch all the time if I'm working from home, and
Nice.
time to have sex.
Hell yeah. I don't blame him. I'm
Yeah.
telling you what, this whole telling your man no thing, no, no, no. I mean, I get it. You're, certain things or whatever, but I'll tell you what, Dan walked up here right now, I'd be like, peace, bitch. I gotta go get mine. Love ya.
Right. Well, catch up on this episode on the fucking flip side.
Exactly, because that is what editing equipment is for.
Right. And this is the discussion another friend and I have about they've been married for almost 20 years and that you have to be engaged in a sexual relationship with your husband. My husband has a lot of like hockey friends where like I'll text him sometimes when he's at hockey and say, "Look, I'm going to sleep, but wake me up when you get home."
Right.
And his friends will be like, or his teammates, "Well, what the fuck? I haven't had sex with my wife in 30, 60, 90 days."
What? Okay, so the only way you should not be having sex for that long a period of time is there is a major crisis going on in the family. Like somebody's died and there's all kinds of drama and you are all wrapped up in it. You've had some kind of major life-changing event, like a baby.
Right.
Your
right? Vag is too swollen to get it in there.
Right, exactly. Or some kind of physical ailment, like he, I don't know, broke his leg, but I can't really say that because I'd ride him anyways with a broken leg.
Me too. I'd figure out a way.
Or he doesn't have, you haven't gotten the medication for his limp dick.
Right. Well, so there's been one time in the last, I don't know how many years, that we didn't have sex for, it was about 45 days. And it was 2 years ago. Nate and I had been going through probably the worst time in our marriage relationship ever. And sex is important to us. Like, we have a good sex life, and we had gotten into this terrible, terrible argument where it just didn't feel right connecting like that. Like, we had to fix one another first before we could connect like that. But he planned this, like we had finally were able to get on the same page. It took about a month and a half. Like, it was scary for our relationship, but he planned this getaway, and that night when we finally did, it was fucking wonderful. But like when you have a good sex life and you have a good relationship, like everything just kind of comes together.
Exactly. It's a combination of having a great sex life and a great relationship because, look, as great as the sex may be, if you've got a shitty relationship, sex isn't enough. No. Because, once again, you may be good at it, but I can still do it myself. So your craziness and your abusiveness and whatever else is going on that side, sex is not worth it.
Right.
Nothing's worth that.
And so now that we talked about being able to do it by yourself, this brings up a question I want to ask you. Are you okay if your man is masturbating and watching porn on his own?
Oh, fuck yeah. I encourage it.
Yeah, me too.
So let me tell you what we do. This is awesome. God, I hope I don't get in trouble for saying this. However, here we go. If we have not had sex in a while, right?
Mm-hmm.
I will say, and I will ask him to masturbate.
To prime it up.
Yes, because
Smart.
then when we go to have sex, it's not quick, right?
Right.
Because he's completely built up. And I'm the complete opposite. So if we haven't been having sex for a while and I haven't been masturbating,
Mm-hmm.
it will take me fucking forever. I mean, like an hour. And it's like, I have to prime myself for him as well. So we've had situations where we will go and masturbate.
Oh,
So
and then
and then like at the end of the night when we're going to, we'll turn and then we'll have our sex.
so
But like,
that's smart.
right, because otherwise we've had situations where he knew he was going to be quick, but he took care of me and everything, but it was still quick. And it was just kind of like, okay. And I was happy. And I had my orgasms. Don't get it twisted. I was very satisfied.
Right. But
But
that point makes me like that makes me think about my own. So we're not just hanging Dion out here to I don't even know the rest of the term. Yeah, is that
hanging out to dry.
right, is that Nate worries about the same thing, right? Like the time frame of it,
Mm-hmm.
where there's been times where he and I didn't know that he masturbated before we had sex. So in my mind, I'm like, all right, I'm getting mine, and then I only got to put in a few minutes of fucking work, and then I can get on with my day. Well, I didn't know that and then I'm like, okay, 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 but I'd already got mine in my head. I'm like, God damn it, what's taking so long?
See, I not for me. Like, girl, I could masturbate 8 times a day if I had the time.
Yeah, I love it. It's so
Oh,
terrible.
I love it. I love masturbating. It's the best thing ever. So, and again, like if I don't do it prior to, it will take me forever. And I can't get there. I gotta lube the girl up prior to going in.
Right, right. And I think that's the important thing, right? So like mine's opposite. If I do it too much, it's harder for me to get off when we're having sex because I think I've overworked her. So where you're the opposite of me. And so
Yes.
that's why it's important for women to understand and know their bodies so that they're getting what they want out of sex as much as a man is. Because it will make your man's sex life better if you're actually orgasming. And
And And if
yeah,
you're talking to your man, like have these open conversations with him about what's going on. I
right.
mean, look, my husband knows I like to masturbate. I masturbate quite a bit. And he's like, all right, baby, go do you. It's cool, whatever, right? And we understand this. We've talked about it. Like, we very much know about when we haven't had sex in a while. We know what to do to make sure that our sex is amazing.
Right. Yeah, and I think that's important. And so maybe that part of the statement of expectations, that's the part that I don't agree with. That there should be expectations because there there just has to be a winner, and I want to be a winner, and I want him to be a winner. Nobody
And
wants to
it's
be a fucking loser in
look,
bed.
sex should be like Oprah. You're a winner, you're a winner, you're a winner, you're a winner. Fucking everybody's a winner.
You
Woo!
get an orgasm. You get an orgasm. You get an orgasm.
Exactly. That is what sex is supposed to be about.
Right.
It's supposed to be fun and pleasurable and a great time and this amazing experience.
Right. I agree. I
But
agree.
you can't be fucking scared of it.
No, and I really think that at least with the women that I've spoken to that either say that they don't like sex or that they don't orgasm is first of all they're not doing it with the right person. They're not doing it with somebody whose goal is their partner and not themselves. My goal is yes, I want to win too, but part of me winning is getting my man to get off. And so when you're sleeping with a man that's only about getting himself off, no wonder why women don't like sex.
Exactly. And that's when I say you get up and you walk out straight
Right.
up. And I have done that. Like,
That's interesting.
I mean, I had a guy in the middle of the sex complaining, and I'm like, peace out. I'm like, dude, I'm on top of you and you're complaining. I gotta go.
Right.
And walked out of his house. I don't think anybody had ever done that to him before. And never spoke to him again. Ever.
And I think that's another thing too, right? It's like you said, nobody's ever done that to him. Why not? Why, as women, do we give men this power. And the principle of sex, like the primary person, like his goal, it's like the only thing that's going to happen is he's going to ejaculate, where no, tell him you're not fucking very good at it. I can't stand, like, our whole lives we've heard people say like, oh, well, this bitch was laying in bed, or this girl did this, or this girl didn't know how to ride the stick. Well, guess what? Your fucking dick is lame.
Pretty much.
Why can't we say that?
Oh, no, we can, because I do.
Right. Well,
straight up. See,
right.
I am like, you know, there are these special set of rules for men and all of this sort of stuff. Then they get to say, no. Guess what? I say that shit right back.
Right.
You know, the whole thing where women are considered, you know, sluts if they sleep with multiple partners, but a man's not. Fuck that.
I hate that.
As long as it's consenting sex, you're of legal age, and everybody knows what's going on up front, everybody else's opinion can go fuck off.
Right. And I think there is this statement or this song or something, and this might be me showing my age and the fact that I listen to some of the Breakfast Club radio, which like is an R&B hip hop station. And there's this song called The Hot Girl Summer or something like that. And this movement of women being women, and we're going to fucking get ours this summer was kind of the theme, right? Like, we're going to fuck who we want, when we want. Go ahead and slide into my DMs because this is happening. And we're not going to be judged for it. Because that's what happens is that, oh, well, she's a slut. She slept with this many guys. Who gives a fuck?
As long as everybody's being safe and being responsible about it, I don't give a shit. Mm-hmm. Do you know what I mean? Let's be real. You got to be responsible and you got to be safe about it. And I'm not just talking accidentally getting pregnant, because that could be the least of your worries, right? So, and that's for guys and girls, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, there's so much dirty shit going around. You got to be careful who you're sleeping with, but be safe and be protective and do your thing.
Right. So that brings me to two questions. Let me write these down before I forget them, because we're really going into it. So, all right.
Yeah, I like going into it.
Yeah. So you talked about being safe and being clean. So talking about STDs, do you think AIDS is a real thing anymore?
Oh, it's definitely, yeah. It's still a thing. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Remember how scary it was in the 80s and 90s, and like Magic Johnson got AIDS and we all thought he was going to die, and he's still around.
He is. Well, the technology and the science community has come a huge way. So like I said, technology and the medicines, you can still live a normal life if you're HIV positive. But you know, there are more different precautions you have to take. So do you know what I mean?
Right. Do you credit Magic Johnson for how far we've come in curing and well, I don't think we have a straight cure for AIDS, but no. So I do, because look, in the 80s, it was mostly gay men, right? And so then the attitudes very much so, well, I know that that's not true, but I'm saying that the way that it was advertised and put out there to the world is that these were gay men getting these diseases. And very much like serial killers of either gay men or prostitutes, was they got what they got because they deserved it for doing these sinful things. And nobody really cared until Magic Johnson came out and said, I have AIDS and I'm a straight man. And he was an idol in the 90s. And that's when it kind of slapped people in the face of like, oh, fuck, all of us could get it. Even though there were straight people getting it, he was
So,
that first poster child of this is not a gay epidemic. This is a human epidemic.
right. So, did you know the first person who uh, got AIDS was from a blood transfusion, and it was a straight woman?
No, I didn't, because most of us think it came from guys fucking monkeys.
Right. It didn't happen that way.
Yeah.
No, it didn't happen like that. And, yeah, a lot of it was coming not necessarily from the gay community. It was coming from that, but there were a lot of gay men that were getting it, but there were
Mm-hmm.
straight people that were getting it, and a lot of drug users because they were
Oh, yeah.
sharing needles.
Right. So that's what I'm saying is like the gay men and then the drug users was the ones that, you know, the upper white class or middle class, they were saying, well, that's their problem. They're
But
they're doing this to themselves.
but do you remember the supermodel Gia from the 80s? Did you ever see that movie Gia?
Uh-uh.
It has Angelina Jolie in it. You need to watch it. It's about she got AIDS. She was this gorgeous supermodel. Unfortunately, she was very insecure, very low self-esteem, got into the wrong things, started doing coke, and then she moved on up to heroin. And I mean, in the 80s, she was the equivalent of like Brooke Shields or Tyra Banks at the time. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
nobody had seen anybody like her because in the 80s everybody wanted blonde, blue-eyed.
Right.
And she had the dark eyes and the dark hair and the fuck you attitude, and they could capture it, and it was just gorgeous. But
Mm-hmm.
unfortunately, and she fell into it, and then she got AIDS, and when she got it, the doctors didn't even know what she had, right? That
Mm-hmm.
they would come in to check on her, and she was in these the doctors were in these full body suits like you see for people who are going into a radiation.
Okay.
Do you know what
Mm-hmm.
you know what I mean?
Right.
So, they describe what happened to her body.
Mm-hmm.
Like the skin was falling off her bones.
Oh, wow.
So this is why AIDS was extremely scary because you didn't die from AIDS.
No, you
No,
usually died from pneumonia, right?
right, because your immune system would disappear. It would crash. And then whatever you came in and got you sick is what you died from.
Mm-hmm.
And there was no way to stop it. So if they cured the pneumonia, something else would come out. And then they would, have to work on that next disease that entered your body because you had no defense system. So
Right,
it
right.
was really, really, it was scary and everything, but it wasn't a gay disease,
Mm-hmm.
wasn't a drug user disease. It was a human disease. Eh, and whoever started that propaganda, that
Mm-hmm.
media propaganda, can fucking suck a dick.
Well, I think, it really it was something, so we didn't have social media back there, but it was something media wise that was pinned against gay men, prostitute, and drug users. In my personal feeling is until Magic Johnson came out with it and he was such a golden child and a straight man that the world was like, what? What? He has
Mm-hmm.
it? And then
What?
imagine, playing basketball with him and his teammates and being okay with still being in the locker room because there were so many unknowns back then. Nobody
Yep.
knew exactly how you were going to get it, or people were naive to how you were going to get it, and that his teammates were open to it. Like I saw an episode of Girlfriends. Do you know what that was? It was an all black cast back in the
Uh-uh.
day in the 90s, and one of them was HIV positive, but she had like cut her finger in the kitchen. Like her friends were all, how like we're at your house cooking all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Is like they all ran out of the room because people didn't know back then. Like, oh God, what's
Right.
going to happen? Like, are we going
Right.
to get it now? So I think Magic Johnson really helped bring it out where it's like, it's okay, I'm okay, I and you don't have to run from it, and it's not a gay thing.
Exactly. And he just brought awareness to it. And
Right.
by the 90s, the technology and the medicine and the cure was getting better
Right.
than it had ever been. Do you know
Right.
what, you know?
Yeah. So now from AIDS, which was a huge epidemic, 80s, 90s, to our current HPV, which I don't really know much about. I know my kids have been vaccinations for it,
Mm-hmm.
and and I support all of that. However, I was told the other day that 2 out of 3 people, maybe that, I think that's the right statistic, has HPV. And it's in that if you've had sex with, maybe it was that if you've had sex with more than 2 partners, that you've had it or you have
Right.
it. And there's not a cure for it, but then it leads to what, cervical cancer for females, and it leads to hysterectomies for females and all kinds of issues where men don't really have an issue with it, right? I mean, they can have it, but besides warts or whatever might come from it, they don't have, it doesn't cause testicular cancer or anything like that. But HPV
Yeah.
in women can cause sterilization, right?
I don't know anything about HPV.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, nothing. I have no clue other than pretty much the only thing I've ever heard is that pretty much everybody's got it. And I
Yeah.
keep seeing the commercials for like 1 in 15 students may get HPV and die from it. So before you send your kid off to college, go ahead and get this vaccination so he doesn't die while he's out at college. But the statistics are so low. Do you know what?
Right. Well, I've never heard of
There's
anybody dying from HPV, so that I would call bullshit on that commercial, unless it's kind of like AIDS where they died of pneumonia. So in this case, maybe if somebody died of cervical cancer that was then caused by HPV, then yes. I also don't think, even though my kids have had the vaccine for it, I don't think that there's enough history or studies to prove that these vaccines are actually going to
to
cure them.
work.
Right. Or to
Right.
prevent it.
Well, yep. And so basically, they're the test study.
Right. And it's not, you can't put on a condom to protect yourself because it's skin on skin contact. So even if you have a condom on, if his pelvis is touching your pelvis, then it can still be transmitted. So it's not a, a, a
It's not as
fluid.
sexually, so it's not
No,
as,
it's a sexually
so,
transmitted disease, but it's the two of your private parts touching.
oh, it has to come from the private parts. So
Right.
I can't like, hey, Sabrina, rub my hand.
No, you can't finger me and get it. Unless I would assume maybe if you fingered a girl and then fingered yourself right afterwards.
Ew, that's dirty. You need to clean your shit.
I would, I'm not a lesbian, but people don't do that.
Don't do what?
Finger your girlfriend and then finger yourself at the same time?
No.
Oh, I just assumed lesbians did that.
What? You're talking like this? What
No,
the fuck?
like this is my primary hand, so like this one and then reach over and then ding ding ding, reach over ding. They don't do that?
No. I
Oh,
want you to
I
try.
assumed
I want you to think about a woman laying next to you and try to figure out how to do that and feel how fucking uncomfortable that is.
yeah, I
And say,
guess.
yeah, no, 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 no.
Yeah.
Look, you want to, normally for women, if it's at the same time, you're scissoring or there's a dildo.
Yeah. So then they would still touch each other. And then,
Yes.
and listen to our listeners, if we're completely off whack on this HPV thing, please educate us. But I'm,
Yes, please do.
I'm pretty sure it's skin on skin contact and that you could go for years. Like I can confidently say that I don't have it currently. However, it is said that it can lay dormant forever. And I've had unprotected sex. So, I mean, I most definitely could have had it. could
But it
have it.
doesn't matter about that, doesn't make a difference.
What do you mean?
I mean, just because his junk is covered doesn't mean his
Right.
balls weren't touching you. Doesn't
Right.
mean that the top of his
Pelvic
cock
area, yeah.
wasn't
Right.
touching you. So you could still have it
Yeah,
and
and
not
that's
know it.
yeah, that's the thing is that you can have it for years. So I've had one sexual partner for 16 years and I, go to my gynecologist every year and right now it says no,
Mm-hmm.
but it could pop up next year and that doesn't mean that my man's cheated. It just means that it's literally laid dormant. So it's not like back in the day if somebody got chlamydia and you could be like, "Motherfucker, you gave me chlamydia." It's not like that anymore.
Right. No, because he could have had it and gave it to you and it just lay dormant and he gave it to you.
Right.
Or you gave it to him
Right. And there's
and you'll
no
never know.
Yeah, and you can't pinpoint it unlike previous STDs.
Right.
So then jumping from that, since I mentioned chlamydia, so you don't watch reality TV, but I do, and maybe some of our listeners do. There's a show on Bravo called Southern Charm. And in the last few episodes, there was, it's a bunch of single people in their mid 30s, early 40s. And one of the girls repeated, "Well, I heard you gave so and so chlamydia." And everybody said it wasn't true. And the girl that they said had chlamydia was devastated that she would say this. So in my mind, I'm like, what's the big fucking deal? Chlamydia, first of all, is a sexually transmitted disease that's curable. You get a 14-day, I think is what they said on the show, 14-day antibiotic package, and it's gone. It could literally happen to anybody. And he wasn't upset by it, but she was upset because God forbid you be a 30-year-old woman who's had chlamydia before. And they were crying. There was literally a woman, Tabby, on the reunion crying, going, "I couldn't imagine if somebody said that to me. I'd be devastated." Devastated over having something that a Z-Pack could cure.
This is why I don't fucking watch reality TV. These bitches are crazy. They fucking are drama queens. Oh Lord, I have the allergies. Oh, somebody help me, my God. The world is ending. Oh Lord. Give me a fucking break. I am so tired of this prima donna bullshit. Grow the fuck up, get out of your fantasy world, and fucking go get to the doctor, get your shit cleaned up, and go about your business. And hey, guess what? Don't fuck that guy again.
Right. And why not turn it on him, right? Like he is a known male slut. Why not say, "Yeah, I fucked up and I slept with Shep and I got chlamydia because I slept with a dirty fucking dick."
Exactly.
And instead she's like, "Well, that makes me a bad person." No, it doesn't.
And we wonder why women can't fucking masturbate.
Right.
Give me a break. TV has got this, it's just bullshit.
Right.
It's like he did something and we have to cry and feel really, really sad about this. And, poor kid, fucking A, it's just ridiculous. I mean, I just don't
But
understand. In an age of fucking girl power
right.
and shit, why is this shit still popular? Because a producer behind the scenes of that show is going, "I really need you to dramatize this. I really need you to pull out all the emotions and I want you to connect with people. And I want you to tell your story so they will feel for you." And it's like, in reality, there's nothing to feel for.
Right. So I know that that is the case on a lot of reality shows that they want to pull the drama. But I think that this case is really more of, like we had said, that there is a shame from a woman's side that you are a single woman having sex. So she's not married, right? So there was more of a stigma for her of, oh my God, I'm a single woman who might have had the clap, that makes her a slut compared to her male counterpart who could just brush it off. Same thing with like, I had a single friend who's, now dating, and she was like, oh, well, I slept with, it was like 2 or 3 guys in a month or 2 guys in a month. And well, I don't want to be a slut. That doesn't make you a fucking slut. Like we said, like, do you guys have been doing it for years? Why are we?
Centuries.
Yeah. So to me, it's not so much about the reality TV side of it. It's still the stigma of, well, women have to be proper. Who do you think these guys are fucking? They're fucking other women who can be okay saying, yeah, I want to get some dick too.
But where do you think the stigma's coming from?
I think it comes from history, and it's
No,
just
it comes from our own current fucking society and environment showing situations to other women and telling them that they should be feeling bad about themselves for these things. This scenario that you just described on a reality TV show that has millions of viewers, and mostly women, I'm sure, are watching this woman break down in tears and feeling bad about herself because she had sex outside of marriage and got an STD, a very curable one. But instead of going and standing up for herself, she's crying. And yet, we are also living in a society that's telling girls and women we should be standing up for ourselves, we should be independent, we are strong-minded, and all of this. So there is a double message, a contradicting message that is being sent to women, and women are fucking confused.
yeah. So in this case, when it came up on the reunion, the host did bring up the fact that, hey, by the way, I called a medical professional, and this is common, and it's not really a big deal. But in your guys', so they're from Charleston, which is, a good old southern town, where they're still. I think I understand what you're saying. You've got two different ideologies, and they're clashing one another. I think though the ideology comes from people trying to grasp onto what they believe women should still be like and the old way of thinking compared to us more modern women that are saying, yeah, we fuck and we're going to fuck who we want and shit's going to happen. We're going to try our best. Nobody wants to get fucking chlamydia. I'm going to try my best. If not, it's not a big deal. It's honestly actually nobody's fucking business either.
Right, except for the producers because they put it on the show.
Right. Or, well, it was another woman that let it out there, right? So then that girl became a bad guy for airing it out.
Right. And all I'm going to do is reference the crab episode. Remember?
Oh yeah, women pulling down women. Yeah.
Women pulling down women. We have too much of this fucking bullshit going on. It is so ridiculous. And again, women are contradicting themselves. We're all there going, we got you, girl, go power. We're standing behind you 100%. Did you hear what that bitch did? Da, da, da. She's fucking sleeping with that man. She's a slut. Da, da. Again, talking out of both sides of your mouth. You're being a fucking hypocrite.
Right. So what a great transition for what I really wanted to talk about today is that, you're talking about women supporting women. And let me just ask you, do you remember when we met? How we met?
I remember the night.
So, we were at a networking event.
Yes.
Not the very first networking event either one of us have been at. So my question to you is, what made it different? Because you and I left there. It was you, me, and then this our friend Doreen, and we actually connected. Oh no, Joe wasn't there that night.
Joe was not there.
No.
Nope. Because we ended up at the strip club.
Yeah, we ended up at a strip club. So what made it different this time? I've met a lot of women at networking events. I've met a lot of my husband's coworkers, because our husbands, they're in this similar field and they're cross paths, and that's how we know each other. I've met a lot of plus ones. I've been, there's been a lot of plus ones that have met me, that what made the two of us different that actually said, hey, we should hang out, because most people don't do that.
The difference was that you and I are very similar, where a lot of these other women are not. So I go to networking events and I meet these ladies and they're really nice, and they are in their career and they have children and they're cool, right? It's like, okay, it's cool, but there wasn't a spark.
Right.
So they're happy in their basicness, and I'm not basic. They're very happy being like everybody else, and I don't want to be like everybody else.
Right.
Because obviously they're confused and they're crying about chlamydia. So you and I, very different. Like, we went to a fucking strip club together the first night we met. All those other women went, oh no, thank you, but I don't want to continue. I'm gonna go home. I'm gonna, you know what I mean? And so that's just a clear sign that they're not interested in developing this even further. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do. And it's funny. I don't know. Have I ever showed you what my phone looks like when you call me?
No.
So, most people don't call each other ever at all. Normally, we're all just texters. But you must have put your phone number in my phone that night, because it says your full name. It doesn't say Tabby, which is what I call you. It says Tabitha, and it still says your maiden name. And then underneath it, it says cool bitch. So that means when you saved it in my phone,
oh my
you
God,
wanted to make
awesome.
sure I remembered, like, oh, this is that cool bitch I met the other night.
Yeah, because I am a fucking cool bitch.
Right. So
Not
then,
a basic bitch, a fucking cool bitch.
right. And I think, our husbands, it helps. So I read this article, and I've got it here from the New York Times, is that when we get older, it's also no longer just about two women clicking. You're matchmaking a set. You got a man and wife that have to match up. And in the case of our friends, most of our husbands have their industry in common. And then on the wife side, we're all very similar yet different. We're all bringing something to the table. But we all have the same sense of humor, where none of us get offended. We all can laugh. Like, none of us get offended by what our husbands say. That's a big thing when, especially, I mean, let's think about some of our friends' husbands. My own husband that says cruel things. Not cruel, crude.
No,
He's
crude.
got a crude mouth that could offend somebody that was uptight. Your husband has a lot of political opinions, right? Or social opinions.
That offends a lot of people.
That could offend a lot of people, right?
No, it does. Well, let's just be honest. He offends people, but that's okay.
Right, but it could, in a way, that same way with Nate, or even Alan, because he's so loud and outgoing, and he says crude things, but at a full max value or volume, that it could turn off the other person. But in our case, they had all married cool bitches that we're fine with it. Like, we'll be like, oh God, did you hear what he said? Oh God. And then we'll laugh about it and move on.
Exactly.
So I think we're very rare, though.
And I think what it is that we are just very rare people. So when, I was single, I was like, it is going to take one hell of a man to be able to marry me, or one hell of a person. Do you know what I mean? Right. Just because of how I am. Dion fit that mold perfectly. I could not just marry any average person. And I'm sure you had the same situation with Nate, as did all our friends. So now we have a group full of rare people that are coming together. And it is a relief.
Right.
It is, when we get together, we can be like saying crude things and funny and great, and then just chilling and being ourselves. I think that, remember how I said one of the other episodes about you have to be at peace with yourself and not have the
Mm-hmm.
butterflies? I think that's with friendships too. So like when we first met and hung out, I'm like, okay, this is cool, but I wasn't like, oh my God, this is so exciting. Da-da-da-da. Do you know what I
Right.
mean?
Right.
So we're able to be ourselves with each other.
Mm-hmm. So I'll pose the same question that I posed on Facebook. Do you think it's harder to make friends after your 30s compared to when we were younger? True
I
friends.
Well, that's a no, because you didn't have true friends when you were younger. Your true
Mm-hmm.
friends stayed around, and you didn't realize who your true friends were until life started kicking you in the ass.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean? And
Mm-hmm.
people who you thought were your true friends ended up not being your true friends. So you had a shit ton of people around, and it was easy to make friends, but people who stuck around, no.
Right.
That you No. Um, and as you get older, just making friends in general is hard because most of us have children, we have work, we have commitments, we have things that have got to get done, right? We got to do the laundry, we got to clean the house, and younger people don't understand that when your time is limited,
Mm-hmm.
you have to make choices about your friends, and you want to make sure you're picking the right person.
Right. So that's a lot of what the New York Times article says is that because of the time restraint, and that's a lot of what my Facebook friends, I think it was almost all of ours, because I think I tagged you and then our husbands in it,
Mm-hmm.
said was that we have such little time that we're more selective with who we hang out with,
Mm-hmm.
because in our free time we want to have a good time. And if there's somebody who's dramatic or drama or obnoxious or annoying or this or that, I just don't have fucking time for it. Like,
Exactly.
if I had more time, maybe I would humor you. But if it becomes work and you're
I,
now ruining my enjoyment, I
uh-huh.
don't want to be friends with you.
Exactly. Because if you've got to work hard at your friendships at this point in our lives, it's just another fucking job. And we don't
Right.
need that. We've already got enough going on. In our 20s, we fucking humored or bitter tongues or just went along with people we didn't like or had bad feelings about, just so we'd have someone to hang out with, because we were very insecure about being alone.
Mm-hmm.
And now in our 30s, we're like, I'd rather be fucking alone, and that's
Right.
okay.
So when you said about making friends in your 30s compared to your 20s, this is where I disagree with you. And I think you've mentioned it a couple times of where we were just younger and not adults in our 20s. So I got married when I was 20 and had a child at 21. So my 20s wasn't filled with great fun times. Like, I got smacked in fucking reality pretty quickly. So
Right.
then there are moments, and no, I wouldn't even really call them friends. I mean, obviously, my two closest and bestest friends would be my sister and my best friend, Jamie. But
Mm-hmm.
that comes from the fact, and in this article, it says, my ideas of friendships were built by the Godfather and the Diner. He said, your friends were your brothers, and anything but totally loyal at all costs meant excommunication. As you get older, that model becomes unrealistic. So I call it, like our ride or dies. Like, fucking Jamie and Charlene would do anything for me. And they've got my back no matter what. And my enemies are their fucking enemies. And that's just the way it is. And so then as I took that into my 30s, I lost friends because I expected that same friendship, which just isn't the case, right? I mean, so now it's like, look, I'm ride or die, but I want to know why. Because if even my sister or my best friend or you or Doreen, like our closest friends, we were to say, and you and I have had these conversations of, well, I've got a problem with so and so now. We're pretty honest with one another to say, like, all right, well, she sounds like a bitch, but don't you
Plus,
think you could have done this differently this time? And so expecting somebody to be ride or die now that we're in our 30s, 40s is an unrealistic friendship.
so I think you're still going to have the few ride and die. Okay.
Hmm.
So, like, just because I'm a ride and die bitch with you doesn't mean I'm going to counsel you on why it's wrong.
Right.
You know what I mean? Or how you fucked up. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? But there's still gonna be your friends that are like, okay, yeah, that was a bitch move that she did. I understand why you did it. But let's not be so dramatic and go and hide a body. Let's
Right.
talk about this first, right? So, um, but they're still there for you.
Right.
They didn't go, oh, I can't talk about this with you right now. They hear
Hmm.
you crying and go, oh my God, not again. Do you know what
Right.
I mean? They're like, no, I'm fucking here for you. What do you need? And then you hear them yelling in the background to their kids to sit down and hush up because mommy's on the phone and she's got something to take care of, which is her other baby, her best friend,
Right.
right? Do you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
someone who does that is still a ride or die. It's
Hmm.
just a different form.
Right. So I'm going to give you some of these reasons why people think that it's harder. These are, our Facebook friends of why they think it's harder to make friends after 30, and we can just see if we agree or disagree. So obviously moving, there were a couple Navy or military wives that move pretty frequently. And so then they said it's harder to make friends. I also had almost a 50% comparison that said they moved often and were able to make more friends.
Right, because they had to make friends.
Right? They
They
made
were
connections at certain places.
right, and they had to because there was nobody else there. Also, you could say the same thing about military brats. Children who are in the military and have to move all the time, they learn those skills at well. So
Hmm.
that's not much of a difference between a child and an adult
Right,
if
right.
you compare the same situation.
Hmm. And naively in my mind, I guess I assumed military wives, which I was one for a hot minute. Um, and when we did move down here to Florida, like I did have a base of acquaintances
Hmm.
because every friend that my ex-husband would make at work came with a plus one. And so then we had we were all going through the same things together. Now, are we all still friends now? Probably not. I mean, I'm not.
No,
Oh,
but you're also not married to a man in the military anymore
right,
either.
right. Yeah, that's true.
So that was your common bond.
Right. So, lack of groups, and this comes with like-minded friends. So this news article says seek out like-minded folks to fill specific needs. I have my cocktail friends, my book club friends, my parenting friends, several basketball friends, a neighbor friend, and a workout friend. So a lot of people said that they weren't putting themselves out there to join these different type of mom groups, women group, this group, that group. I'm terrible at that. I don't do it.
So you have let me figure out how to put this. I'm great at that. I'm in
Mm-hmm.
lots of social groups. I've started that way back in college, as you know, as part of a sorority, which we will not name on the episode. Um, so I was very active in my sorority. I loved it. Lots of connections came out of the sorority, out of college, and I went a little dormant for a while, and then I reconnected. And your sorority is for a lifetime.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And you meet these women at different stages of their lives and you have a common bond. So the
Mm-hmm.
social part of it is I could be flying to Texas and see someone with my letters and know she's a sister and we can strike up a conversation. Now, is
Mm-hmm.
she necessarily a friend? Not so much. But the people you go to the meetings and all of this sort of stuff and you build these friendships and makes it a little bit easier. I'm also in a social group, the crew group, remember? You went
Mm-hmm.
to the ball. All of these women are local. We have a a thing in common. What the hell am I trying to say? So, and that makes making friends with them a lot easier too.
Right.
So, and then you get this huge network of friends. It's same thing with junior league. So, um, for me, I like these things. It's easier to make friends this way.
Mm-hmm.
So much easier. You go in, and normally when you go in, especially your first year, everybody is so welcoming and they make you feel comfortable and they bring you in, and it's like you're being brought into this family.
Right.
And these women, you can come and you can talk to them, and not all of them. Okay, not everybody ends up being your best friend. Some of
Mm-hmm.
them remain acquaintances, and some of them a little bit better friends, and then some of them you're like you, I'm a cool bitch, and this is it, and that, and it's
Right.
like this. Um, but you got to go out there and you got to do it.
Well, I think, and that's the big thing, right? So, uh, a lot of our friends on Facebook said the ones that have made friends after their 30s or 40s said that they join these groups like you have. I'm not good at it, or that they, which is weird because this is what I do for a living. Is I go to events and I talk to people and strangers, and I'm fine with that. Where I'm not comfortable is I'm not comfortable with other females because I have this perceived thought of the way that they feel about me already. And my husband says that women are intimidated by me because I do have resting bitch face. And even though I might seem warm and fuzzy and funny on Facebook in real life, I don't put myself out there. Like, for example, Lorelai's in hockey. There's two women that Nate knows from hockey that he tells me all the time that, oh, they're always talking about you. They're always doing this. Well, every time I go into the rink, they never talk to me and I don't talk to them. And it's
Hmm.
because I'm not putting myself out there. And
Right. They're scared to approach you,
right,
even though they're envying you.
right. Or, that they want to get to know me. And I mean, I would love to have somebody to sit and talk to. The truth is that normally I just sit there by myself. I get up and go, and I'm not chit-chatting and putting myself out there the way that the women that have said yes to our poll that it is just as easy really are putting themselves out there.
And you should. So I want you to think of it this way. So you're sitting at that hockey ring and you're really wishing one of them would come up and talk to you, right? And they're probably sitting there wishing the same thing. So treat them the same way you would any sales event. Go up there and talk to them.
I know.
They're going to end up being happy about it. And they're probably going to love you more for it, for being the outgoing one. So, because people flock to you. And you need to be like, oh my God, hey girls, da da da. Be like, aren't our daughters fucking kicking ass?
I know.
Just go
Well,
and talk to them.
if they're listening, hi, and I'm not really a bitch, I'm just kind of shy.
Yeah,
Which is
you're just
weird
shy.
because I'm a weird shy person because I'm not like at your house when you have events, like I'll go and talk to everyone and I'm cool with that. But in certain settings, I get so uncomfortable and I'll just stop talking.
Right, like my book signing. You were fucking awesome. You were out there talking to everybody, having a great time. You and Debbie fucking hit it off.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, so, and my mother still talks about
I
you,
love your mother. She's so fucking funny.
isn't she?
Yeah, so fun.
So, but you do the same thing.
Right.
That's all. And look, Sabrina, I'm in all these groups, and yeah, I'm a little perky or whatever, but I have a resting bitch face, and I tell people things they don't want to hear, and they still love me.
Right. Yeah, that's true, right? That is a good point. All right, so we've got selective. So that's what we've already said, that life is busy and my time is worth more now. So we both agree with that. That we have trust issues, that we've been burned enough by other women and we just don't trust them. And I really try to fight that. So, I recently, probably in the last 4 years, I would say that as I've lost weight, I've tried to open myself up more and be more friendly and I've gotten hurt more. And so then I want to say, well, fuck you. I don't want to make new friends and I don't want to do this. And I try to stay open-minded to the fact that, all right, well, this one incident is connected to that one person and I can't give all women a bad name. But I think we all have some type of trust issue, right? When it comes to women
Well, agree.
because of the crab thing, right? Those bitches are going to
Yeah.
try to kill me.
They are. They're going to try, they're not trying to kill you. Oh my God.
Hey, I almost got you to agree with me.
Yeah, you did. You almost. And look, it depends on, so like there is a difference between meeting women at a sporting event or at a bar and meeting women who are coming together for a reason.
Right. But
Okay.
no, okay, finish your thought. Go ahead. Because
But so like, and I'm not saying all women, you're going to find a better quality of group in women who are coming together for a common goal. So whether it's fundraising, community involvement, giving back, or social, they
yeah,
all come together. They're all motivated. They all do their part. They're all willing to help everybody else out. So when a new member comes in, they help that new member out. That's what they're there for, because when they were first ones to come in, someone came in to help them out. Which
right.
is why in a sorority, you have your alum that help out your college members.
Mm-hmm.
Because when I was in college, there was a group of alums that helped us, that gave us advice, that made sure we were doing the right things.
Right.
And you give back. So when you surround yourself with these type of women, you're not going to get, you may get a one-off incident, but I'm telling you 99% of the time these women are going, "Yep, I got you, girl. What do you need? I'm right here. You need some advice?
Right.
Let's sit down and talk. You need a cry? We're right here." You know, and it's a different caliber of women.
Right. Right. And I'll tell you the only friends that we made in a bar, so Natalie and Todd, you know them. Nate and
Yep.
I met them at a bar before a concert, and I happened to say the city that I worked in at the time, and nobody had ever heard of it, and she was like, "I know exactly where that is." Then we started talking about dragonflies, and the thing that and then we exchanged numbers and became Facebook friends, and that was 5 years ago, and we're still friends to this day because they're easy. They like to do the same things we do. There's no pressure to set, times to hang out with them. If we're going down, so we live on opposite sides of town, but if we're in
Mhm.
their neck of the woods, we'll send them a text last minute. They
Right?
have older kids, so they don't have to worry about babysitters and all that shit. That we'll say, hey, we're at this brewery. Okay, cool. See you guys in 20 minutes.
Yep.
And we'll hang out, and it's easy and it's fun and it's lightweight and it's a good friendship. It works.
Absolutely. But that's not the majority of your experiences.
No, not at all. Not at
So
all.
you're going to get your one off. So
Right.
if you're looking for more friendships over the age of 30, you're going to have to join social groups.
Right. Or at work is what a lot of people said, is that they made friends at work. So here, I'll keep going through the list of, well, this is still the no's, is that you tend to like fewer people. So I think that's just tolerance. We tend to just
Become the
not,
cranky old people
yeah,
that
and
don't like people. Get off my lawn.
right, we're Nate, yeah. We have less time. That stay-at-home moms have or stay-at-home wives have the lack of opportunity. Like my sister, for example, is a stay-at-home mom, and but she knows. Like, I think she posted that picture that said mom group dropout,
Right.
because her community does have a lot of mom groups,
Mm-hmm.
and she chooses not to go to it. But it's also because she doesn't have a babysitter, and so then there are those. Hurdles for a stay-at-home mom to be able to actually get outside the house.
Absolutely. And there are, I have friends that are in these groups that are stay-at-home moms, and they go to the events that they can go to, and then they're not able to go to the other ones. Husband comes home from work. She's like, "Hey, you're watching the kids. I'm going out with the ladies. See
Right.
you later." You know what I mean?
Yeah, see ya.
And it's time scheduling and making sure that you can do it.
Mm-hmm. So somebody else said that they don't want to make new friends. And I wrote on here, do you believe that?
So I'm sure that's I don't know who wrote it, so I'm going to say sounds like someone doesn't want to masturbate.
Well, so what I'm going to say to that is like, I could see myself as a defense mechanism saying, well, I don't want to, fuck that. I don't want to make new friends anyways, right? Because you do have trust issues. You've been burned. You've been this. I think that anybody who then finds himself in a situation, even if you have the best husband in the world, there's nobody better than a good girlfriend. You know, there's been times where you've called me and said, look, and it's very random of, I've had this one argument with my husband. What do you think? Because you do need a girlfriend to throw those ideas off on, right?
Right. You do. Okay. Yes. And you got to make sure it's the right girlfriend that you know what I mean? You're talking
Right. And
to
I
about
think,
it.
yeah, I think it's that comment's very similar to a recently divorced or separated woman that says, well, I don't want a fucking man. I don't want a new partner. I don't want a new wife. It's it's easy to say, but there's lonely times where a girlfriend really is necessary. And I
Oh,
think
yeah.
that comment comes from hurt. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they just don't want fucking friends. But I know if I said it, it'd be coming more from a position of, well, I'm trying to protect myself.
Agreed. Because people who normally say, I don't want any more friends, da da da, they don't really have that many friends to begin with. And they're probably lonely. And they're
Yeah.
probably actually really looking to reach out. I mean, so for someone to respond to a question that says, how do you make friends after the age of 30 and says, I don't want any more friends? Well, why then are you answering the question?
Right. Yeah. Now, what about focused on family or work? So they're overly committed to their own family and work.
And that's great. And then I tell them, what are you going to do when the babies grow up and leave?
So that's something that Nate and I talk about a lot, and why Nate and I find it very important to connect with one another. Like my relationship with my husband is number one, and I get into a lot of arguments with my fellow mom friends because everybody always says, well, I love my kid more than anything. Well, I love my husband in a way more than I can explain to my children. Like he is my number one because these fuckers are gonna leave me at some point.
As they're supposed to. And that's
Right.
one of the biggest problems is that um, the relationship that comes first is not your children's. It is the relationship with your husband. Children have to learn they are not number one.
Right.
They're not. That creates the environment for the self-entitlement and bullshit.
Right.
Oh, I get to do this because mommy's going to choose me over daddy. Nope, not going to happen. You're going to sit there and you're going to wait until I'm done having this conversation with my husband and then your father, and then we will come in and
Right.
have a right.
And then in connection with that, and circling back to girlfriends, it's important to for women or men to have independent relationships outside of our husbands or wives. My husband is gone 3 nights a week to play hockey. I don't complain about it. I don't mind it. If there's something that comes up that he has to miss it for me, he will. But his guy time is fucking important. My girl time is important. It is a complete fucking circle. You can't just be mom. You just can't be wife. You have to be
You.
Sabrina, Tabby, you have to be a girlfriend. You have guys and girls don't laugh about the same things. You know, there's jokes that we're going to understand being women that men aren't going to get. And
Well,
it's important. Yeah.
right, exactly. And it is not only is it important, but you got to be you. So spending all your time being with your husband and your kids, you're not being you anymore
Right.
because you're considering yourself a wife, you're considering yourself a mother, and it's no longer about your individuality. And look, and as much as we love our husbands, sometimes they can be work. And the same
Yeah.
thing for the husbands, that we can be work for them as well.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, And Dion is huge on me having girl time because I
Yeah.
work from home. I'm a writer. I'm very isolated.
Mm-hmm.
And when I get stuck in my head, he's like, okay, you gotta go. You gotta go outside. You gotta go do something. And so this weekend was a big event for my sorority. Excuse me. Um, and I pretty much spent the whole weekend working for the sorority and spending time with all these women. And he didn't complain. He's like, nope, you go do you do what you do. It's awesome. Let me know if you need any help, kind of thing.
Right.
And had a great time. Came home. I was so happy. And while I was gone, he was doing his thing. He was playing his video games and just, we were all really, really happy. And,
Yeah,
we
it's
all come back.
nice.
It is. It's really, really nice.
Yeah, I agree. And it's very important to do that, to stay well-rounded, not to
Yep.
lose yourself. That's something that Jen's talked a lot about, is that she lost herself in being a wife and mom. You lose
Correct.
who you are.
Yeah, you really do.
Yeah, that's a good one. All right. I have jealousy and then quality over quantity. So jealousy, we know women don't play as much as we get on this pipe of feminism and support one another. Women are just not very good at supporting women, and that can be a whole discussion of its own,
Oh, yeah.
and something that women need to work on.
I agree. So here's the thing. If you are jealous of a woman because she's a friend and she's going to steal your husband, you are with the wrong man.
Right.
Seriously. If that's the problem and that's the reason you're not going to have a friendship, you got bigger problems. And you
Mm-hmm.
probably need a really good girlfriend because your marriage is about to fucking end.
Right, right. And even if it's jealousy over, looks, money, children, this or that, if you really know your friends, like you know that they're not as perfect as it looks on the outside. And what truly matters is that we all are suffering probably from the same insecurities in on the outside, and I don't think women allow that. There's just big trust issues, I think, and there's cattiness to it,
Oh
and
yeah,
that isn't a good thing.
no, it isn't, and it is a nobody's Facebook perfect.
No, not at all. So then here's the yeses. That a woman said that, and she was just over 40, that she believes that it's easier to make friends over 30 and 40 years old because there's more shared experiences and things are more meaningful. So that goes back to what you had said in the very beginning. When, in your 20s, when you're in college and all that other stuff and still learning how to adult, it's all very surface. But then once you
Mm-hmm.
become married and homeowners and this and working and in a career, you have actual meat to,
Mm-hmm.
to grasp onto, right? And to build a friendship. And I agree with that. Mine came at a younger age. Jamie's came at a younger age. Whoever else has gotten married. Jen was a young mom, all that stuff. But without those shared experiences, I can't become friends with somebody because we like the same fucking clothes.
Right, because that's not enough.
Right.
It just doesn't work.
And I would say
I
even more than shared experiences, it's shared trauma, right? Shared trauma and shared hurt that we ends up bonding a lot of us.
mm-hmm. Yep, I agree.
Yeah. Maturity was a reason for yes. She finds that women in over 40s, she was 50 years old, but she said over 40 made a difference and there was more maturity that came with friends.
Mm-hmm. So I'm gonna tell you what. So um in the crew, you know that there's a lot of older women,
Mm-hmm.
right? And you saw that when you went to the ball. I love those old ladies. I love hanging out with these women that are in their 50s and their 60s and even their 70s.
Mm-hmm.
Because let me tell you what, they don't have time for any bullshit. They're light years above me, and I absolutely love it. It's like I aspire to be like them, because they are just say it like it is, and they're like, don't like it, go on about your business. I don't care. I ain't got time for you, honey. Bless your
Right.
heart. So these women are awesome. And then they want to sit down and share their stories and
Mm-hmm.
talk to you and just tell you about life experiences. And you get to see this whole life before your eyes of their own life. Do you know what
Mm-hmm.
I mean? And
Yeah.
it's so cool. And I guess women at this age, they're like, not only do they have time for the bullshit, they want to share their stories, and they also want to help you. So, like, if you're going through something, they want to help you because they know they've been there.
Right.
And it's so really, really cool. I mean, like I said, just love it. There's some ladies that are in their 70s, and I could just spend hours sitting there talking with them about all of this stuff. And it's really cool. And they've got some feistiness in them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
love it. And it's just, it's different. And I go into these parties, and Dion's like, damn, like I go into a party and all of these women are coming up, hugging me, giving me kisses, saying, "Oh my God, da da da, we have to do this, and we're gonna do this," and you know, very big on helping the community. And how is your book coming along? And he's like, nobody pays attention to me anymore,
Right.
because normally he's the one that knows everybody, and now all
Mm-hmm.
of a sudden I've gotten to the point where I walk downtown DeLand and I'm getting stopped 5 or 6 times,
Right.
and nobody's
Yeah.
like, oh, that's your husband, that's nice, so back to you. And it's like, oh, okay.
Right. Right. Yeah. Well, I think maturity is a big difference because, those women probably also tell you a lot that like, hey, it doesn't matter. That doesn't matter, right? Because they've been through so much and their lives have gone so far that, oh, well, my other girlfriend, she did this or this. Well, guess what? It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. It
And
doesn't.
maturity allows you to even let go of it and say, don't be mad at them. It just doesn't fucking matter. Move on from it.
Exactly. And you get that real life advice from these ladies, and I
Right.
love that.
Right. All right, so groups of common interest. So that was women joining groups of whatever your interest might be, which is a great idea, and I don't do it. Moving,
Slacker.
I know. Moving was also a reason of why they were able to make new friends is because they're forced to put themselves out there, and so they've met friends who then have come and visited them and maintain these friendships. Now, I have a friend named Emily from high school who said, if you make friends easily, you do it at any age. And so when Emily said that, if it was anybody else, I probably would have said, called bullshit on that. However,
Okay.
I wrote that, I met Emily when we were, I think, in 10th grade. And had never, I don't even know where she came from. Like all of a sudden, we just happened to be in a class together and we clicked. And she's always had this light and open
Mm-hmm.
personality, right? Like she is this person that feels so open that I
Right.
could see her saying, like, yeah, it's easy because I'm I want to make friends and I'm open to making friends. And it's not that she hasn't been hurt because she came from a different diverse background like I did, but she hasn't let that stuff taint her soul where
Mm-hmm.
she is open. And so I could see like, it's just that it's a choice, right? You're going to have a good day or a fucking bad day. Emily says if you're open to it, it's going to happen.
Exactly. And she's totally right on.
Which is
I
so
love that.
fucking annoying. Right? I'm
Why
kidding.
is that?
God damn it, Emily. But
Yeah,
it is
because she
it's simple
calls you
and
out on your shit. She's
right. 'Cause
basically saying, Sabrina, you're making the choice and you're fucking making the wrong one.
right, because it really is as simple as that. Is if you're open to it, you can do it at any age.
Exactly. You could.
God
So
damn
go
it,
join
Emily.
those groups. Go
I
join a
know.
group.
I know. So then I had somebody write on here that, and she came from my hometown as well, that if and she was somebody who'd move a lot. She's a military wife, and
Uh-huh.
her opinion was yes, that you could make friends, good friends, after your 30s and 40s, and it was because she had moved. And she said that if she still lived in our hometown, she didn't think she'd have as many quality friends as she did now. And
Uh-huh.
I would say that I would agree with that. I mean, I moved from my hometown when I was 22, and I was always known to be a certain person, right? Like I was an asshole, a bully, a bitch, and all of this. And I probably would have held on to that person that I was in the safety of my hometown. Moving away made me more vulnerable, and I had a lot of more humbling experiences that made me into a different person
Mm-hmm.
and a softer person and a nicer person, that if I would have stayed in my hometown, I wouldn't have had the quality of friends that I do now, I think.
And I agree with you because if you had stayed in your hometown, you would have had the same persona as being the bitch. You would have played up into it. You would have lived your life according to that persona
Right.
and had not grown and been the really freaking cool bitch Sabrina you are today.
Girl.
So, love you. But and that can also be another problem. So like some people who grow up in small towns that are really small, there's not a lot of people around there. And so it's harder to make friends when you're living out way out in ruralville area. So I got very lucky moving to DeLand because there it's a small town, but the community is well built. The
Mm-hmm.
people in this town are great quality people. They come together, they help each other. It's a very active community. And that was one of my biggest fears about moving with we were searching for so much land was that I would get stuck somewhere and
Right.
not have any outlet. And I told Dion, I said, I can't have that. I said, for my sanity and for yours, we can't do that.
Right. Well, I think you're very similar to Emily, where you have the perfect reason to say, well, I can't make new friends because I live in a farm, and I work from home, and I'm in a closet writing most of the time. But you actually
Or
put the
recording a podcast.
right, or recording a podcast, that you put the effort into joining these groups and making friends and connections,
Mm-hmm.
where I live in a city of 1 million people and have friends in this town that say, well, oh, we don't do anything. There's nothing to do. There's nothing. So, I mean, you're the contradiction to that, right? I mean, you're proving that wrong, where
Mm-hmm.
if we really want to make friends,
We go
then
out and do it.
yeah, go out and do it. Just like Emily said, if you can easily, if you make friends easily, you can do it at any age. If you live in a town with a few thousand people, you can still make friends.
Exactly. So I'm into, groups in this town and make friends. And we both, some friends, cross lap and everything, and some don't. And that's really good. And we spend time together, but I make time for it. I have to schedule it. I have to, make sure that it's something that I'm able to do. But I love it. I don't want to be cooped up here and stuck into my head because sometimes going out, meeting someone for a glass of wine, and then coming home, it's like, oh my gosh, I have a fresh new set of eyes and I can start writing. And it's like, da, 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 and I'm like, yes.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's the other thing, is that, women have to remember, right? So we have all this past baggage of friendships and these reasons not to be friends, that when you do make friendships the way that we have
Right.
within our group, that it's worth it. We're no longer just friends, we're family friends. Like,
Yep.
my daughter is very connected to your mother-in-law and your family in general, right? Like,
Yes.
when
And
you
I
allow
believe,
your yeah, when you
sorry.
allow yourself to do that, it's worth it.
Exactly. And I believe Pam loves Lorelai the best.
I know. She said when we're in New York City, she said, I'm going to say, hey, Pam, on the Macy's Day Parade. Because you remember last year
Oh,
she went and watched the Macy's Day Parade with your mother-in-law. So she said, I'm going to say, hey, Pam.
oh, she's gonna love that.
I know. So I think, just to wrap it up, I think that I agree with a lot of the reasons of, there were a lot more reasons why it's harder. And one, two, three, four, 5 reasons why it's not. But those 5 reasons why it's not, and I'm glad we did it in the order we did, really proves that it's all kind of bullshit, right? And yeah, we've all been hurt.
Yep.
We've all had our issues. We're all fucking busy people. But friendships, real friendships, are worth the time. It's
Mm-hmm.
worth the hurt. It's worth the disagreements, right? We can all have disagreements
Yeah,
and
and
still
we
be
do.
friends.
Yep.
I think that's another big thing in this wrap up, is that just because Facebook has friends or unfriend doesn't mean that that's real life. Like, us women can all be friends and disagree with each other and still call each other our friends.
Correct. The same way that we have to learn that with relationships.
Mm-hmm.
That we have a disagreement doesn't mean that the relationship is over because we argued about something. It expands, it grows the relationship. It's the exact same thing with our friendship.
Right. So I'd say that we challenge our listeners to talk to that mom that's sitting in the booth by herself at your school event. Talk to your mom. Talk to that mom that's hiding in the corner somewhere. Call your friend that you haven't actually called in a long time, and just have a conversation with them, right? Or plan a night out together. It doesn't have to be something crazy. It could be Chinese food and wine at your house, but challenging our listeners to become girlfriends again and make friendships.
I agree. And I'm challenging you, Sabrina, to do the same thing. Go talk to those hockey moms. Find a group. Join a group.
Oh,
I am
God.
challenging you.
I will talk to the hockey moms today. Last
Okay?
time I just
And
sent my
you,
kid over there to talk to them. I was like, Ethan, go
oh
talk,
my
go talk to
God.
those ladies for me.
Really? You're a freaking pussy.
I,
Go talk to those moms, freaking have a conversation, and I want to hear about it.
all right, I'm gonna do it.
Good. You have homework.
I do. I always have homework.
Lord, I have the allergy.
Oh my God. I love
So
that.
traumatic.
I can't wait to take the screenshot of that. So, well, that's a great place to end. I think that was a fun conversation. We got a little raunchy for you guys the first half, and then a little deeper on friendships. And we love you guys. We want your opinions. Please post, comment, share our links, our feeds, all that shit. Email us at notasafespacepodcast@gmail.com. And we'll talk to you guys later.